Okay, and we are live. Good morning to those of you who have joined us live. If you haven't and you're seeing this, oh well, we're going to start now. I hate to say that, but that's exactly true. So, without further ado, in three, two, one.
Hello? Are you ready? Then we'll begin.
We're getting closer to Pentecost, only 7 more days to go. So let's talk about that and other things today on Monday Morning Catholic. This is episode number 25.
6:30 Monday morning. I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock.
Oh, and we had our first mishap. Oh well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That's the beauty of live recording. Welcome to Monday Morning Catholic, episode number 25. Wow. That's getting to be, we're getting up there, I think.
Yeah.
Almost half a year at this point. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier, and it's the dynamic duo day today. It's
Woohoo!
me and Linda Reed from St. Thomas Parish.
Hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Good morning. How's it going?
Okay, actually.
Okay. Did we have a good weekend?
We did. It was a very good weekend. I had a memorial mass for my mom this weekend. That was very nice, and everything went smoothly as far as I could tell.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I was in the cheap seat, so.
Okay.
Yep, even the lectures were good.
Yes, they certainly were.
I'm biased with my husband.
I know, I'm biased too.
That's all right. I think I've been cornered into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got talked to last week. She has no idea that and I don't think Kevin has either because I haven't said anything.
Oh.
I got asked last week.
Oh.
Because my husband checked on the so I went, okay, sure. I'm not doing anything right now. I said that will become difficult if I get another job.
Yes, yes.
I'd be happy to, in the meantime.
All right.
So, I was watching intently this morning how everything goes.
Oh, yeah. Kevin can coach you.
Oh, yeah, he can coach me through that.
Yes.
It'll be fun. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is Monday Morning Catholic. We gather here together each week with our favorite cup of whatever, and today's cup says chocolate, the fifth basic food group.
Yes.
Which is my downfall.
And mine.
My girlish figure. We can talk about it. Thank God for you can only see me from here up.
Yes.
But we get together every week. Usually there's more of us. Well, we want to take a look back at the previous weekend's liturgy and try to make some sense of what we experience, whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we smell sometimes. And as always, the points don't matter. And there are no points today, only because two of our people are out for things. So
it's just us.
There will be no points given.
Oh.
Okay, unless we come up with something interesting.
Okay.
We are going to do double duty today, however, because as we mentioned last week, this particular Sunday is different wherever you happen to live. So if you live anywhere in the country, but in the dioceses in the metropolitans of, is it Hartford, Boston, Newark, New York?
Yeah.
And, there was like 6 or 7 provinces.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of the East Coast.
Of the upper. I think
yeah.
Jersey up and Omaha.
And Omaha, okay.
Omaha. Because I remember that. There was
okay.
We are celebrating the 7th Sunday of Easter. That's what
Yes.
we did this weekend because we celebrated Ascension on Thursday, as it should be. And I
We
can say
celebrated Ascension Thursday on Thursday.
that. Well, no, now they're calling this Ascension Sunday,
Oh, okay.
and I'm like,
It's because it's a Sunday.
but it's not 40 days after.
Yay. What did
I'm
we say about 40 days last week?
I know we did this last week. I know, but I'm such a liturgical
Ah.
that I'm just going to say, look, you know, we're right, and the rest of the world is wrong. Until our bishops decide otherwise. And I really hope they don't. I'll say it again. I know I'll probably be wrong, and I don't care. But there's something about keeping the tradition going. I know it doesn't, I mean, people don't come. And so we've got to
Yeah.
do a job trying to tell them, this day is different. It's
Yeah.
all of our holy days. Maybe not the Immaculate Conception, because Immaculate Conception is our patron in the United States. But the others I could see moved to Sundays. But this one and Immaculate Conception, I think, need their days. And if we can just get people to understand that, we could go down to 3, because
Mm.
the first is also a holy day. So
Yes. Yes.
3 out of 6, on their original day, I think would be the more important ones.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, Assumption would be so easy to move,
it would.
you
And I
know?
think they'll appreciate that on a
You're
Sunday.
in the thick of ordinary time there.
Now in the thick of August,
Yeah.
when people aren't coming to Mass on an August day, because half of them are on vacation.
Right. Right.
But
We're jumping the gun here.
I know we're jumping the gun, but I'm trying to explain why we're going to be doing 2 sets of readings.
Okay.
Because it's only fair that those of us who celebrated the 7th Sunday of Easter should get that unpacked.
That's
as
right.
well as the folks who celebrated Ascension, and since we're the only ones who did 2,
Yeah.
we feel we have an obligation to our audience to do so.
Exactly.
So, let us roll right into our first segment.
Do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I hear? The extended version. Since we're going to do 2. We will start with Ascension, because that's what came up first for us.
Yep.
And we're going to be a little fuzzy on it, though most of you already just heard it. We're a few days out.
Yes.
So we'll start with that one and talk about what we heard. The readings for that day, Acts 1, verses 1 through 11. It's the beginning of the book of Acts, where you have Jesus' ascension. Interestingly enough, Luke does not put that at the end of the Gospel of Luke. He puts it at the beginning of the book of Acts, which was, he wrote 2 different books.
Right.
Unless it was all one. Some biblical scholars, I know, and I remember vaguely when I was in school, would say that was an opposite
They chopped it.
tome, and they chopped it up in one place. So it's possible. But here is where you get the actual account of Jesus' ascension.
Yeah.
Is in Acts 1 through 11. The psalm for the day was 47. God mounts his throne to shouts of joy, a blare of trumpets for the Lord. One of my favorites, version I've always used is David Haas's version.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I've always used.
Well, we just can't, because here we go again. Because the crowd was so sparse. I didn't feel like it was time to introduce a new psalm, so we just did the Easter psalm, which covers the entire Easter season.
And again,
and that's, everybody that was there that day, on Ascension Thursday, was able to sing that psalm and be participative in it. So I did not use Psalm 47. I have in the past, on occasion, when there has been a larger crowd for some reason or another. But this year I did not.
That's okay. I attended the 7:30 a.m. Mass.
Yes. I
Um,
don't do that. I don't do 7:30 a.m.
I don't normally, but it was just one of those days where I had a lot to do, and I said, if I break up my day and go,
Yep, yep.
go out the window. So I
You
said,
won't get, yeah, you won't get yourself done.
nah, I said I'll get up and go. And it was a very lively group of people at 7:30 in the morning, far more refreshed and awake than I was. But it was, and we, of course, no real singing,
Yeah,
just so we did recite, which I hate, but
I know.
understand Psalm 47,
Yes.
and, and it's really a triumphal psalm
Yeah,
and really fitting with the day, which is one of the reasons why even I tend to want to use it just as a musician because it's so triumphal.
right. But if you look at the text of the Easter Psalm, that's pretty triumphal too. So,
Oh yeah, I gotcha. I
you
got
know,
different.
I'm
That's why.
there are certain decisions that I mean I like to do the Psalm of the day as a general rule.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like to do the appointed Psalm because I'm a Psalm geek. All right.
We didn't know this. So
Yes.
am I. Oh,
I'm a Psalm geek, so I like to do the appointed Psalm. Um, but sometimes there's a principle that overrides my Psalm geekiness, and
which is the season.
yeah, I
Right.
can't always indulge my own
Mm-hmm.
self. I need to think about what might be best for the assembly, and during this cycle of readings and throwing the Ascension in there with it, I just decided to go with 118 and stay there through the entire season.
Now I kid about it because I like to have folks understand both. That they can
Yeah.
do the psalm of the season or your geeky psalm of the day, which
Yeah.
but it's because the psalms are so great.
Yes.
You really don't want to miss a lot of them
Right.
as they come by. So, but I can understand doing it in the seasons because it unifies the season. So what this is called, whatever plays in your community or according to
Right.
local custom.
Right.
So
And the other thing that really only would pertain to choir directors is that once Christ is risen, the choir considers itself on vacation. It's difficult to get them to come to rehearsals. I have a faithful remnant, and it's different from week to week. So, you know, it's not the time to start throwing new psalmody at them.
no,
So,
not at all. I know you've been struggling. You and a few others I've noticed on Facebook
yeah.
struggling with that problem.
And what are you going to say? Well, oh, we can't come to mass this weekend. We're going to a first communion, or we're going to a baptism, or we're going to a graduation, or whatever. People have lives, so,
They do. And darn it, they should be revolving it around the church. But anyway.
well, they should, but hey, they should say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't go. I'm in the choir,
Exactly. Exactly.
and it's my ministry to sing until Pentecost. Darn it."
Yes, it is. Then the second reading was from Ephesians. Now, this is always fun because you have two choices for Ephesian readings, either Ephesians 1 or Ephesians 4.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'll tell you right now, after so many days away from it, I don't remember which one it was.
Which one? I know. I think we
Ephesians.
actually did Ephesians 4.
I think we did too.
I think. And I think it was the shorter version. In the morning mass, we had the school children. I'm not sure what the kid read. Sometimes,
Oops.
yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
the
I think it was the shorter version, which would, prisoner, I, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to live in a manner worthy of the call you have received with all humility
yes,
and gentleness. Was that one, yeah.
yes,
Patience, bearing with one another through love, striving to persevere in the unity of the Spirit, because we're trying to. This happens to be a time where you start to
You start to look forward to Pentecost.
Spirit's coming. Spirit's
Yes.
coming. So we sort of do the preamble to it.
Here it comes.
Here it comes, yeah. And then Matthew 28 was the gospel, which is the Great Commission.
Yeah.
And I know that our pastor at the 7:30 show gig, Matt, as I like to go, 7:30 in the morning is just hard.
Yes, it is.
To preach, to sing, to do anything at that time in the morning is difficult unless you're a real morning person and get up at 4.
Yeah.
But in his homily, I remember vaguely, he talked about he loves to have the end of Matthew, which is the Great Commission, and then the beginning of Acts.
Yeah, right.
That's the unifying thing here. Jesus is saying, I've done all this, now it's your turn.
Yep.
Okay, and then poof.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parodies to do on Ascension was always the song "Up, Up and Away."
But yes.
And
Yes.
I left the bumper out only because I don't want to think I'm a heretical. But there's something about them standing there.
Yeah.
And he's going up to heaven, and you get these two angels going, "What's your problem?"
Yeah. You didn't get the message, you know? You're
Yeah.
supposed to go out.
Well, what they're told to do is to go back and pray.
Yeah. And wait for the Holy Spirit.
Right. That was the whole thing. Now, don't run out now. You've got a little waiting to do.
And that's interestingly, that's what we heard today.
Exactly. On the 7th Sunday, which we'll get to. But what did you did a couple of different masses on Ascension.
Yes, I did. And the pastor usually tailors his homily for the school children. And it's always includes, because you can't tell the school children enough, it always includes respect for one another. You know, all the little caveats against bullying and being nasty to one another, and so he usually manages to weave that into most of the school homilies.
That's smart.
But yeah. But he talked about when the apostles encountered the risen Christ and how ecstatic they were because he was dead. And then they saw him, and it was like, whoa. And so in the midst of this euphoria, then 40 days later, he says to them, okay, I'm leaving again. Can you imagine how they felt?
Right.
You know? And then he told the story about being in the seminary in Belgium, and his parents came over for a visit. And he said, as I was putting them back on the plane to go home, he said, I kind of had the feeling of what the disciples must have felt watching Jesus go off into the air. He said, there was my family going back, and I was going to be here for a long, long time. He said, just as your family gives you instructions, be a good boy and do what you're told, and that Jesus had given us instructions, given his disciples instructions, what they should do. And he has now ascended to the Father and is getting ready to send us the Holy Spirit. The other homily I read, did you do Father Barron's?
Yes, I listened to Father Barron's, and as I noted to you privately, I was surprised, but not surprised.
Yes.
Only recorded and uploaded Ascension and not the 7th Sunday. But I do want to say, Father Barron, we'd have loved to have heard what you had to say about today.
7th Sunday. But I loved what he said about the Ascension.
Yes,
that
and I didn't
Jesus, who is has taken our human form and is of earth, is gone to heaven, and in 10 days something from heaven will come down to earth. And he talked about the Jewish worldview. Yep. And how the heaven and earth were really the same place.
Right.
That earth needs to become the kingdom of God.
That's what I did not I did not understand that Jewish.
It's the Jewish worldview as opposed to the Platonistic worldview, where in order to be complete, your soul must leave your body and go somewhere else. The Jewish worldview is, hey, it's all going to get together.
Right.
And we are going to be the kingdom of God, which is heaven.
Which, as I get older, I seem to feel that's
Yeah.
what is, where it's not so much going from point A to point B.
Yes.
It's that sort of, I almost want to say Vulcan mind meld.
Mind meld, yeah. Yes.
Star Trek again the other day, but it's something that's going to come together and be very homogeneous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, you have to do this here and then you go here.
That we are here to transform the earth into heaven.
Right.
And that's I really liked that a lot. And you can see that point of view reflected in a lot of contemporary hymnody. You can just see, we're going to bring forth the kingdom here. Let us build a city of God here.
Well, we've taken some heat for that too.
Yeah.
The theology, but I now I'm seeing, well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
It's true.
Sure it is.
It's not like we can, it'll never be perfect here.
No.
But
not until the end times.
Right, but if you look in Revelation, even Revelation talks about a new heaven
and
earth.
Yeah.
So it's not like, again, we're not taking everybody and just jumping to another plane,
right,
whatever.
Right.
There's a new earth involved in this, and we have something to do with that.
So I just thought what he had to say, ascension-wise, was really nice.
Yeah, he really does. He has some really good stuff. But I really would have liked to have heard the seventh.
Yes, but hey, he's over in Rome now doing his second series.
True. So we got to cut him some slack there.
Yeah.
Speaking of the seventh Sunday,
yes,
those of us in a few of the provinces in the United States celebrated the readings for the seventh Sunday. We go into right after. See, and this is where I think it's important to still continue to have this.
Sure.
Because our first reading is Acts 1:12-14, which is what happens after they all go back up to the upper room.
Right.
And that is just as important to the story.
Yes.
Since as a liturgist, I see all of this as people may say it's redundant. Yeah, I've heard it before. You heard it before. But have you really heard it?
Yes.
And in what state of mind were you in when you heard it the first time? And do you that this is all connected?
Yeah.
There's a reason why we do repetition.
Yes, because we need it.
Stupid humans, and we need it. So this is why.
One of the things that I really liked about the first reading was that at the end it said, and there was a bunch of women there and the Mother of God.
Yes.
So.
We are, even though we are a footnote, we are there.
We are there. Doggone it. Yes.
It's interesting that Luke would do that, but not being Jewish would do that.
Yeah.
Because his society was different. It was more enlightened, being Greek. He was Greek. Am I correct on that?
I'm not real sure. All I know was he was a physician.
Right. But Theophilus, I believe, is some sort of patron of his, and it would be out of a Greek type of philosophy and a Greek society type of model.
But also, what I like to think of is that he just, they told him. The people who told him the story, the apostles told him the story. Yeah, we were all there. And these women were there too, and his mother was there. He told him the story of everybody that was there in the upper room.
It's a very important point.
Waiting for the Spirit.
And they were cooking for them too, but that's okay.
Yeah. That's not worth talking about.
No. And I say that with all, with the complete feminist.
Yes.
point of view. In those days, that would have been their job.
That's right.
So everybody's doing their job, but they are included. It's
Yes.
like do your job and go away. Did it say in there, and the servants were present also?
Nope. Nope. The women were present.
Women were present.
So I'm assuming not only were they cooking, but they were praying also.
Exactly, and that's the point that needs to be made.
Yeah.
Okay, that
I
everybody
just like
has
that.
a job. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And they all went by name too.
Yes, but it's only the men.
And Mary,
Well, yes, they did give Mary her due.
yes,
Uh,
and his. Now here's the interesting. No, that's not the interesting part. Yeah, and it said, if I remember correctly, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and his brothers.
and his brothers, yes.
We even want to. Maybe we.
Nah, I'm not going there.
We won't go there.
It's a whole conundrum that the scripture scholars fight about.
It is, and well, and the Christians fight about it too,
Yeah.
because those who don't understand the virginity of Mary
Yeah.
want to kind of throw that in as a C, and those of us who do are confused sometimes as to why that would be in there. But knowing some of what we know of the scholars saying brothers also means any male relative,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, in your family, that makes sense,
Yeah.
sort of. So
Yeah. Brothers could be, 12, the second cousin 12 times removed. I mean, that could.
and in Jewish society,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, Mary would not go anywhere, a woman, a widow, wouldn't go anywhere without a male member of her family present.
Yeah, I think that's kind of for one thing, she was given into John's care
Right.
from the cross.
Right, but John was
So,
family.
yeah.
So you would think that there has got to be a male somewhere
Somewhere. Yeah.
acting, who at least needs to be with her, because she can't be in a room with a bunch of other males who aren't her family. You gotta, when you start thinking like that, then you understand why these pieces are there.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
it's important to say it
Yeah.
to others who would be reading that saying, well, wait a minute, how can she do that?
Well, because widows and children are,
Right.
way low on the totem pole, and
And see, that gets lost on us
yeah.
because we don't live in that society anymore.
No, we don't. We don't.
It gets lost on us. So that's why when you see all this other stuff, it's like, what does that mean?
Well, that's why the Psalms make such a big deal out of being kind to widows and orphans, because they were like the lowest of the low. They had nobody to take care of them,
Right.
basically.
As an only child with no children, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, Psalm 27 was the psalm.
Which we did not do.
That's fine. But it's the other refrain, not
Yes.
the, what's the normal refrain for salvation?
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Yeah,
Right.
this is, I believe I shall see the good things of the Lord in the land of the living.
Yeah. So
A long refrain.
that's more, actually, that's one that's used for funerals,
Yeah.
that refrain. But I used the Lord is my light, myself, just because I see, I could use either one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
1 Peter 4 was the second reading, and that one, I had to say for the first time, did not have much to do with the other two.
Yeah. If you were insulted in the name of Christ, good
Yeah.
for you.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, but the evildoer,
Yes.
the intriguer, it was just,
I liked the intriguer. I liked them bringing in, the schemer. They,
yeah, because some schemers have
Yeah.
more to do with things that go down than the actual people who do them.
exactly. The schemers behind the scenes that are sowing seeds of discord.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There are many of those.
Many of those, yes.
Mhm. And then, of course, John's laborious gospel,
Yes.
1 through 11a, no less.
Yes.
The same thing 14 times.
Goodness gracious.
It did. But again, the repetitiousness of what Jesus is saying. And I liked what our deacon did the homily this morning.
Yes.
And I liked what he said about, and of course it just flew right out of my head.
Oh.
I liked it so much. It did. It just flew out of my head. That he kept saying it over and over again, that the Father and I are one. The Spirit
Yes.
and the
Yes.
Spirit are one.
What is the Father's is mine, and what is mine is the Father's.
I like the fact that he said it's nice that we get a glimpse into what Jesus says.
Yes.
There's a lot in the gospel about what he does,
Yes.
but to actually hear his words,
That was nice, actually.
and John's gospel is full of what Jesus says.
Yes.
Nauseam.
Yes.
But I can understand saying the same thing. It's like being a teacher.
Yeah.
Be able to introduce the same concept in about 3 or 4 different ways, because not everybody listening hears it the same way.
Yeah, right.
So when you're presenting facts, you need to be able to say or do it in like 3 or 4 different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
So that everybody who learns in a different way gets it. Yeah.
Right. That's what I see John's gospel as sometimes. When
it's true, especially that last discourse.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Just
he knew he was leaving, and he wanted to make darn sure they understood.
Yeah, I'm not leaving because I want to. I'm not leaving because time is up. I'm not leaving, and I'm not leaving you alone.
Alone. That's right.
Yeah. Now you heard 2 different homilies.
Well, yeah. Last night our pastor was at had to do a wedding. Old friends of his from his former assignment. And so he went to do the wedding and went to the reception. He wasn't going to do the wedding without going to the reception. So we had a guest priest, and he's a perfectly charming man, his Father Smith. And
real last name, folks. We're not kidding.
That is his real last name, yes. And he has the most delightful Irish brogue.
Oh, yes, he does.
But his homily was a meditation on the Paschal Candle, which I thought was kind of neat. I guess he figured that we'd heard a lot of preaching on the last discourse in the last couple of weeks, and so he took us through the Paschal Candle from the entrance of it at the Easter Vigil through to the symbolic meaning of every decoration on the front of the candle. And the people were rapt. R-A-P-T. Okay. Not W-R-A-P-P-E-D. They were paying rapt attention. And as a matter of fact, when Mass was over, people were coming up and looking at the candle because they'd never really had it explained to them before. Wow. And the significance of this great symbol of the Easter season. And so I thought that was just taking it from a whole different point of view. He didn't even pretend to deal with the readings. Wow. He just decided that it was the Easter season. The Paschal Candle is the premier symbol of the Easter season, and so we need to look at this and see what the symbolism means.
Well, I can understand that on the 7th Sunday, given the readings and given the fact that you can't talk about it on Pentecost because everything spirit and doves and all that kinds of stuff. And no one really understands the Paschal Candle. You can't explain it as you're doing it at Easter Vigil.
Right.
When you're tracing and you're doing the putting in the nails and the whole 9 yards. So that wasn't a bad place for it.
No, it was very good. I enjoyed that thoroughly, and I think the congregation did too. Yeah. And then this morning, as you know, we had Deacon Al, who always gives very thoughtful homilies. And I do like the whole notion of being privileged to hear like a sermon of Christ's, really. He was preaching to the disciples. Um, and so that was a really nice meditation on that too.
So see now see when you have these two together. I know I'm beating the dead horse, but
Yeah.
I'm beating the dead horse. When you have Ascension and you have the seventh Sunday, and you put them together, it makes a lovely picture.
Yes, yes, it does.
Let's see how
And
much
then and it makes you ready to receive the Spirit.
exactly. Um, your mileage may vary. We listen to very, and right now, unfortunately, I'm in the same place with Linda every week. But
Yeah.
I will be branching out in a couple of weeks to the Cranberry Collaborative to hear Cardinal Sean is coming to visit the Cranberry Collaborative in a couple of weeks on Trinity
Nice.
Sunday. So I will have definitely a different perspective
Nice.
on those on that weekend as they come. It's their year anniversary
Mm,
collaborative, so he's coming to celebrate with them. So I get to be the wife, which
all
is
right.
crazy. Whenever I just get to be the wife, which is great. Your mileage may vary if you have homilies that you would like to share.
Mm,
Sitting here on the panel with us,
yep.
we have everybody, especially in the summer now. I have a feeling we're going to be scattering. So we'd love to have guests sit in if you are interested.
Sure.
Get a hold of me at mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com, or you can call the lovely feedback line at 774-955-0659. It doesn't need just be feedback. If you're interested, you have a way that we can get a hold of you through Skype. Well, it's got to be through Google Plus at this point.
Mm,
Can't do Skype and get everybody moved over to Skype. So if you're in Google Plus, you'd like to do this with us, please contact me at a time. We can chat, and hey, why not? I'm willing to open this up to folks who are
sure.
something definitely different, because we can benefit from that as well.
Yes.
Okay, moving right along to the right stuff. And it's interesting because in coming into Pentecost now, we seem to be in a weird season. And Deacon Al talked a little bit about this. He referred to it as like a mini
A
Advent.
mini Advent because we're waiting.
Right, we're waiting. In Catholic realms, this is novena time. Now, if you don't know what novena is, novena is a 9-day prayer.
Nova is the root for 9.
Exactly. So he was saying that the first Advent was 9,000 years.
Yeah.
And, then Jesus was born. This was only 9 days after Jesus ascended into heaven that the Spirit came.
Yes.
So there's a 9 thing here, but that's why Catholics will do a 9-day prayer, and I believe there is I believe it's a short prayer too, novena to the Holy Spirit for 9 days that folks do. And in those 9 days, what happens at the end is, believe it or not, there's a vigil.
Yeah.
For Pentecost. And
Yes.
This is something that I wanted to talk about a little bit because no one ever does it.
No.
And it sets up exactly like the Easter Vigil.
Mm-hmm.
There are 7 Old Testament readings. And of course, when I was a liturgist for parish, I would say, can we at least do a different one of those?
Yeah.
At the vigil? Because the vigil Mass on Saturday is supposed to be different than the Mass on Sunday.
Yeah.
But what happens for practical purposes?
Yeah.
And the same thing that happens at Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
4 different liturgies, is that, oh no, people only get one shot at this, so we can't hear about, this on this day.
Yeah.
We hear about it, you can't do that, so too bad, we can't. And I'm
We
like,
we do the same readings day before, same readings day of. It's yeah.
exactly. So it's one of those things where it's there. I wish we did more
Yeah.
it, or at least somebody acknowledge it, that we don't want to do this again, but it is in our heritage.
Yeah.
And I can see these bookends. Now as a liturgist, I understand. You begin the Easter season with a vigil, you end
End with a vigil. Yeah.
the vigil.
And Pentecost is a huge feast, much bigger than most people, care to make it.
Well, if we were going to do the hierarchy, it would be Easter, Pentecost, Christmas, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
What the hierarchy of the top three should be.
But, usually by Pentecost, everybody's tired of alleluias, and it's like, okay, here comes the Spirit, and now we can put the Paschal candle away.
And that's what it should be, because the Spirit is what's supposed to enable us to
Yeah.
go forward.
Yes,
It's
yes.
like confirmation. Confirmation is not an
Yeah.
ending, folks. Pentecost is not an ending, folks.
That's right.
But we treat it as such.
Yes,
Pentecost ends the Easter season. Hurrah! Take the candle up.
that's right.
You know,
And now we don't have to go to church again until school starts.
Confirmation.
Yes.
When I was dealing with confirmation kids, it's like, no, this is not the end of it. That you've still got, this is the beginning of the rest of your life.
Right.
In the church, in the rest of your life, in a relationship with Jesus, not, bye-bye, so long, farewell, that's not it.
No.
But we treat it as such. And that's the sad part. And I think if we're going to be moving in, everybody's talking about forming intentional disciples, and everyone's talking about rebuilding parishes. And I think until we get some of this liturgical roadmap back to where it needs to be,
Yes.
it's going to happen. Because we're undercutting ourselves all the time.
Yes.
With it. And I think the liturgical roadmap tells us how we should be. Because now we're going into ordinary time, which deals with pockets of things, that we should be concerned about.
Yeah.
Smaller lessons that we're supposed to build on. And I think this is the year of Mark, correct?
Matthew,
sorry, I'm a year ahead.
a cycle.
And then, but yeah, it's because I was waiting. It's that bread discourse every year.
Yes, that's Mark. Yeah.
That's Mark. So this year it's going to be building a lot on all of the parables.
Yes.
Parables come out in ordinary time, and those are life lessons for us.
Yes.
But unless we've got that spirit on, we're not going to understand some of those life lessons.
That's it.
So
you need to.
Pentecost, the end of anything.
That's right. And let's celebrate it up, man. I mean, heck, it's
do a Pentecost vigil.
It's such a big feast. Not only does it have its own vigil, it has its own sequence besides. So
right. The sequence will be back next week.
Just like for Easter, So
yeah, because it's one.
Yeah, it's one feast. Yeah.
Again, the church's liturgy,
Yep.
Lex orandi, lex credendi.
So it's it is a shame that the Pentecost vigil doesn't happen. But as soon as you suggest something like that, everybody goes, "Oh, nobody will come to that. Nobody will come."
Their heads explode. It's
yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, we're still convincing them to come to the Easter vigil. So
true.
Yeah. So we got to do this again in 50 days? Are you kidding me?
But even if the Saturday vigil masses have been 2 readings.
Yep.
Just to say this day is different than any other. That this is just giving that perspective, because they don't get the sequence at the vigil. They get the sequence at the morning.
Right.
So it's, you could put in a second reading and say, well, you get the sequence in the morning anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Put it in. I still love the people who take out the Easter sequence and say, oh, we don't need to do it.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
Sorry, that one is really prescribed.
Yeah, it is.
I don't understand where I misread that somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, the
No, none of the only one that's optional is Corpus Christi
Corpus Christi. Yeah. But
because it's so long.
well, yeah, it goes on and on and on and on
A
and on.
Laodicean is long.
Uh,
Oh gosh.
there's a lot to talk about, to
Yeah,
say.
I guess, but that's one that we haven't worked ourselves up to doing yet.
No.
But we do both Easter and Pentecost sequence.
Right.
So
But these are the things to be on the lookout for now next week.
yes,
How many, is your parish doing some sort of novena? Are there people in your parish doing it probably privately? And what is does your Pentecost celebration say we're going forth?
we're going forth. Yes.
This is the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a look at those things for next week and let us know. Again, MondayMorningCatholic@gmail.com
Yeah.
or 774-955-065. Now I'm getting much better at giving our information out during podcast.
Okay.
All right, moving right along into the technology and evangelization section, or can you hear me now? I bow to you. I will make the disclaimer here that the music you're hearing is by Father Francis Patrick O'Brien, Archdiocese of Boston, and a friend of mine who is a composer in the church. So I figured, hey, his was a great segue into Can You Hear Me Now?
Why not?
Okay, here's what I discovered this week. A friend of mine through social media is taking on a new position called a parish communications director. And I thought that was exciting and interesting at the same time and intriguing because this is in the Archdiocese of Boston and it is part of a new collaborative. And does a parish need a parish communications director? Is it that important now? And I want to hear what you have to say about that. What do you think? If all of a sudden our parish wanted to go out and get somebody who could handle communications, would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, I would think it would be a good thing. In the best of all possible worlds.
Right.
Um, First of all, almost every parish now has a website. I
Mm-hmm.
sh
True.
you know, and the more active your website is, the more appealing it is. But on the other hand, how many parishes have a liturgy coordinator? I mean, there's still plenty of places that don't have something like full-time music director or a coordinator of liturgy. And so, you know, having a communications director is a wonderful thing and I think very necessary. But when I look at parishes and what they don't yet have, I don't know how realistic it is to think that parishes are going, except maybe collaboratives, like you put a bunch of parishes together and then maybe they can afford, to hire somebody on like that.
Well, my thinking is this, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Well,
You know,
obviously it's important.
right. Will something
Obviously, in this day and age.
will something like this bring the people in to get the money to
Yeah,
afford to have the others,
yeah.
or will the liturgy be the driving force that gets the people in? It's almost, I always wanted to say the liturgy will.
You hope that would be the case.
Right. But now,
But
in this
you
day,
know, in this day and age where everything travels in sound bites, um, you know,
podcast.
yes, um, you, you cannot discount the
No.
power of social media, communication, the parish website, advertising what the parish does. You cannot discount that anymore.
No, and when I was I was surfing the net trying to see, well, does anybody else do this?
Mm,
this something absolutely new, or are we again behind the
Yeah.
ball on all this? And I found a parish in Marietta, Georgia,
Mm.
called Transfiguration. And I was absolutely blown away by the fact that they do a bi-weekly, so every other week,
Mm.
a netcast, a
Wow.
video podcast, and it looks like a television.
Wow.
It's like a television newscast. It runs
Wow.
9 minutes, and it basically is a capsule of everything that's going on in their parish. And
Wow.
who to contact, if you're interested in, they did a blurb, and it's not like they do commercials, but they did like a blurb on Vacation Bible School and said, be sure to contact so and so at this number for more information, or send an email.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there going, oh my,
Yeah.
this is great.
This is great. Exactly.
How many people are kind of tuning in? Oh, I missed Mass last week. Let me, we were away, had to go to another church. Let's check and see what's going on.
What went on in the parish? Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this communications director position is something that might be needed. Again, it's easier in a collaborative, but even in a deanery.
Well, it's needed. There's no question that it's needed. The question is, who will have the resources to hire them?
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Should it be a deanery thing? I mean, in the
Yeah.
collaborative thing. But in places that aren't doing collaboratives at the moment, would it be a deanery thing?
Deanery thing, yeah. Yeah.
Do neighboring parishes mean, you're taking business away from each other?
Yeah. Well,
It's that kind of thing. But it shouldn't be.
no, it shouldn't be, but still.
We are, or we're supposed to be. So
We're supposed to be, exactly.
but I understand right now everybody's viability is in question. So
Yeah.
But think about, I mean,
No, there's no question that it's something that's needed. It's that, again, parishes aren't even willing to put out money for a full-time music director. So,
we could wax on for hours on that.
and we could, yes, but we're not going to.
Because that's a very important thing. But let's revisit that in technology. Let's be on the lookout for it. And if you're interested, I will put up the website for Transfiguration Parish in Marietta, Georgia, for those folks who want to go take a look at that.
Great.
See what we're talking about. I think this is the beginning of something very, very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And something, I wish I could jump on.
Yeah.
At this point.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I've got the backgrounds and all kinds of other things, that I think is where we are right now. And when I was teaching, my goal was whatever way I'm going to get their attention.
Yeah.
Short of crazy things.
And this is the way.
Yeah. If this is how you keep people interested and, to come to liturgy. It doesn't replace liturgy. It doesn't replace church. It doesn't replace,
No.
But it gives you a sense of community in a world where you may drive 20 or 30 minutes to your church.
Yeah.
And think about Georgia, for example. That's the Bible Belt.
Right.
Okay, so you have got to be on your game.
Right.
You've got to be publicizing things in the Bible Belt, or the other churches look more exciting.
Yeah, right.
We don't have that here. We still have a glutton of parishes all over the place, and people think, well, if I don't like this one, I'll go to this one.
Exactly.
That's going to dry up.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, we're going to be mission territory again.
Yes.
Happened, but anyway. All right, so keep your eyes on that as far as technology and evangelization, because it covers both.
Yes.
All right, moving on. I was calling this segment the Catholic Culture Club. It just kind of falls flat. Catholics in the news and making news, but I'm thinking maybe we should be calling it this. What's the buzz? Hey, it worked, when all else fails.
Why not?
We've got a
Sounds
couple
good.
things. The Pope had a wonderful trip.
Yes, he did.
And
My goodness.
And came back with 2 announcements.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
The first one is that he is going to meet with sexual abuse victims, which I think, hip hip hooray.
Why not? Yes.
And I'll get in. Let me just get quickly into that because I read something very disturbing about that. Um,
Mm.
Fortunately, SNAP, which is
Oh,
the
yes.
network, is telling them it's why do it? It's not going to do any good.
Yeah.
And in the National Catholic Reporter, which I'm not now, while I say this, I am not. I very rare. I look at both the National Catholic Reporter and the National Catholic Register.
Hmm.
They are two sides of the same coin. But in the Reporter, there was a very balanced report on why that is a huge mistake for them to
Mm.
do.
Mm.
Because this was a person, I guess, who's worked with victims who said you shouldn't be pushing them into it or out of it.
Mm.
It should be something that they should have the option to choose to do depending on their level of healing. And I
Right.
wholeheartedly agree. If there are people out there to whom this would be a valuable experience, a chance to meet with the Holy Father, who seems very, very sympathetic.
Right.
He, he's not doing this as a photo op. He
No.
because he genuinely cares. Then I would hate to see them talked out of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
really.
would also hate to see somebody who isn't ready to take that step be talked into
Into it. Yeah. Yeah.
the Pope, you know, and they can get publicity, you know what I mean? And not that
Yeah.
they're for it, but, it could be the adverse effect. So that really bothered me
Yeah.
that they're coming out and saying, it's almost like, yes, we've been wronged and we don't want anybody to make it right because all we want to do is
All we
kvetch.
want to do is kvetch. Yeah. Yeah. I know.
I don't want to
No.
see that happen to
I don't
people.
want to see that either.
Move on.
Yes.
When everybody, I mean, it's going to take years to move on, and it's going to be a very gray area to move on, but you got to move them from point A to point B.
Yeah.
You do. They can't
And
stay.
communication is the key. Openness.
If you don't move them, they remain victims.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should remain a victim of anything.
No. No.
I really think that they need to,
Move on.
yeah, think about that. The other piece that he came back with was they're going to have another Council of Nicaea.
Yes.
And I want to see, I hope
Yeah, yeah.
I'm alive for this in 2025, which would be the
1700th
anniversary.
anniversary.
Wow.
Yes.
That needs to come around again.
It was 325 was the Council of Nicaea.
Yep. And to see, that would give them enough time
Yeah, it would.
to work on a few things like that pesky filioque.
Yes, really.
Those of you who just thought I swore at you in Latin,
Yeah.
the biggest break of the two churches, in the Eastern and Western churches, was the fact that the Western Church, which is our Roman Catholic branch, believes that the Spirit comes from both the Father and the Son, which is supported by John's Gospel. The Eastern branch believes that the Father sends the Spirit, which is also supported by John's Gospel.
Yeah.
So if we could just get them to agree
Yeah.
that whatever part of John's Gospel you'd like to follow is okay with you,
Yeah.
then I'd say let's get both lungs breathing again.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Call it. And that would be a great time for them to get together. One of the things I read was because the church in Constantinople is under such siege,
Yeah.
this is something that would benefit them to be within a bigger grouping. And then the opposite is the Orthodox Church in Russia is a lot bigger now and stronger.
Mm.
So it probably would not behoove itself to want to do this. So it's not so much theological sometimes as it is political.
Mm. It's true. It's
But
true.
boy, it would be nice if we could mend that rift in our lifetime.
It'd be lovely. It'd be wonderful.
At least that one, because I think Catholic and Christian, Catholic and Protestant's going to be a lot harder
Yeah.
than Orthodox. But then again,
You never know, but
you know,
it's something we can hope for.
I know. I really hope I'm around to see Nicaea.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Oh, that would be. Wow. I don't think it'd be. I don't think it'd be the present Pope.
Well, not unless he's a real Superman. Uh,
Right. You never know.
it's 11 years.
True, and he's what, 78?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
7? It's possible.
Possible, yeah.
You never know. But that was with the two interesting things that came up.
Right, right.
Quite interesting.
Joanne, I am going to leave you to close up the show
Oh boy.
because I hear rumblings downstairs.
Well,
I
I think
I
what we
have my grands
yeah,
with me today.
I think
I need to get downstairs.
oh,
So
all right.
I'm going to leave you to close out the show. Thank you all for listening. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Bye.
Very much, Linda.
Bye
See
bye.
you later. Bye. Well, unfortunately, she left before she could tell us a little bit more about. She had a funny story, and I'll have her keep it for next week because it really was funny. It's something that a lot of ministers and church musicians would have probably not seen it, but would definitely get it. Okay, so I will definitely wrap things up here by reminding you that any feedback is warranted and welcomed. So please, mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com is where you can send us an email, or, of course, you can call us at the voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. This also gives me a chance to, again, thank the folks that do sit on panel with us here on the weekends, on Monday morning, I should say. We do have a good time. And we'd love to hear more from you so that we can address your needs and things that you're looking for. One thing that we are starting to think about is that, believe it or not, 3 out of the 4 of us will be attending the National Association of Pastoral Musicians Conference in St. Louis this year. And we're thinking right now we might have some special podcasts coming up. So if you think that that is something you would be interested, if you're not going, let us know, because we would really like to be able to do what we can amongst what we can do. We're not gonna be doing, we would not be broadcasting anything that's, copyrighted. We can't. But as far as that kind of stuff. But if there's anything you're looking for, even if it's just rundowns on what they're doing and what they're listening to and that kind of thing, that would be really great. And I would love to be able to do that for us as a, as a courtesy. This is also yesterday, actually, the 1st of June was World Communications Day, and we were asked to not, someone gave a suggestion, or I'll say who it is, the Catholics Next Door, Greg Willits and Jennifer Willits. Hello, Willitses. They had asked us to take on not posting on the day, and then the next day to say something about, because this year's message was on the use of silence in communications. And of course, as a liturgist, silence to me is just as important in liturgy and in the prayer experience as all the noise, as all the words. So it was wonderful to be able to not, in fact, I did have to do 2 posts yesterday on Facebook, but did nothing else. One was because it was my niece's 16th birthday, and that's not something you miss. And the other one was to share a post that Father Austin Fleming had put up in order to thank my friends and those folks who have been sustaining me in prayer over the last couple of weeks. So those 2 things are pretty important. Other than that, complete blackout. But and I'm looking up what I need, the question that I was asked to answer. And of course, you think I had it ready? No, of course not. Here it is. All right, so the question Was that the question I was supposed to ask? Answer? No, where is it? There it is. No, it isn't. Where is it? Yeah, it was supposed to be a question on, and I hate when that happens. And here's the technology thing. Ah, there it is. When you flag it, you should be able to find it right away. All right. So today, the 2nd of June, is Catholic Media Promotion Day. And the question we are supposed to answer is, what in Catholic media has had an impact on me during the past year? And I think this is really easy. The Catholic media that has had the most impact on me is this podcast. In deciding that this was something that we were going to undertake, it, yes, was my idea, but I would never do this by myself. I know better than to let myself talk for an hour to anybody that can't talk back to me, because it just gets rambling. But also, in order to have very different points of view on issues and on scripture and liturgy. So it was important. So this has had the biggest impact on me this year, not to be self-serving, but in order to learn the technology that goes into putting forth something that is worthy for people to listen to. That's what is really important. It would have been easy for me just to flip open my computer and just do it on the fly. But I wanted to make sure that this was quality. And yes, we've had quite a few crazy things happen with video and audio and carts and things going nuts and sound, but we press on because it's a learning experience, not just for me, but for any of the folks on our panel. Some of them have had to learn, and I don't want to talk for them. They've had to learn certain things as well. This just doesn't happen. We just don't open a mic and talk. Seriously. There is a show prep that happens where we talk about, we put everything on paper, and is this what you want to talk about? Is anything you want to change? Anything you want to... So this has had the most impact, because I felt very strongly that this type of a show would be something that would be valuable, hopefully, in the great Catholic landscape. And it's also been valuable at home. My husband has given me a lot of support on this. And where it would be easy for him to say, oh, skip it this week, he's actually my biggest supporter, where he gets up there and says, no, you go up there and you do it. And as you can see in my lovely home office here, he says, you go up and do it, and we'll work around your schedule. So not only am I humbled by that, I just love the man more. We just celebrated 32 years of marriage. Hasn't always been easy, but we've got stick-to-itiveness, so if that's even a word. But I think it would be this podcast. It has changed my way of thinking. I'm much more thoughtful now before I say something. Wow. And those of you who know me personally, like, wow, she's learned that finally. Yeah. I've learned you don't have to say everything. You say what's important and move on. And it's also made me better at listening. In the beginning, you could tell because I'm moderator and host, I do have to move things along. But I've had to listen more to the gang so that I know how to respond. And we've done some really good work. We hope to continue that in the future, and that's all be because of you. Next week will be episode 26. We've reached a half a year. We really want to know how you feel about what we're doing and whether or not we're impacting you, even if it's in a negative way. But please keep the negativity within reason. And I say that very, very with lots of trepidation, because we're looking for what Linda said last week. If we can't unify, then let's not vilify each other. That is so important. Give us some constructive criticism and we'll work on it. Trash us and we won't listen, even if you have something important to say. So in the silence of yesterday and meditating on all of this, this is what I have come up with. Right now, this has been the most this has been what's impacted me the most in Catholic media. Hopefully next year it will be someone else's podcast or someone else's, programming or videos, because I'm always listening to new things and I want to follow other folks with other points of view. So that's where we stand. And with that, I am going to start our closing music. And again, thank Linda Reed from St. Thomas's in Providence for being here today with me alone. Hopefully next week the gang will be back together. It's just that time of year where there are baptisms and concerts and all kinds of things going on. So we hope that you'll be back with us as well. Okay, this is Monday Morning Catholic signing off. Ciao for now.